Goloka Vrindavana has descended as a congregational chanting of Lord Hari's holy names. Why did my attraction for that chanting never come about? Day and night, my heart burns from the fire of the poison of worldliness, and I have not taken the means to relieve it. Lord Krishna, who is the son of the king of Raja, became the son of Shachi, Lord Chaitanya, and Balarama became Nitai. The holy name delivered all those souls who were lowly and wretched. The two sinners, Jagai and Madai, are evidence of this. O Lord Krishna, son of Nanda, accompanied by the daughter of Vrishabhanu, please be merciful to me now. Narottama Dasa says, O Lord, please do not push me away from your reddish lotus feet, for who is my beloved except for you? Jai. Narottama Das Thakur ki jai. Hari Hari Bifale Janam Gonainu Hari Hari Bifale Janam Gonainu Manushya Janam Paya Radha Krishna na bhajiya Janiya Shuniya Vishakhainu Manushya Janam Paya Radha Krishna na bhajiya Janiya Shuniya Vishakhainu Golokera Premadhana Hari Nama Sankirtana Golokera Premadhana Hari Nama Sankirtana Ratina Janmilo Kene Thai Samsara Vishanale Dibanishi Ajwale Samsara Vishanale Dibanishi Ajwale Jurai te naam koi no paay Jurai te naam koi no paay Brajendra Nandana Jai Shachi Sutta Hailo Sei Balarama Hailo Nitai Tinahi Najata Chilo Hari Nam Uddharilo Tara Sakshi Jagai Madhai Brajendra Nandana Jai Shachi Sutta Hailo Sei Balarama Hoilo Nitai Dinahi Najata Chilo Hari Nam Uddharilo Tara Sakshi Jagai Madhai Aha Prabhu Nanda Sutta Vrishabhanu Sutta Yuta Aha Prabhu Nanda Sutta Vrishabhanu Sutta Yuta Karuna Karo e Baro Narottama Dasa Koe Nateli Oranga Pae Narottama Dasa Koe Nateli Oranga Pae Toma Binake Ache Amar Toma Binake Ache Amar Manushya Janam Paya Radha Krishna na bhajiya Janiya Shuniya Vishakhainu Janiya Shuniya Vishakhainu Janiya Shuniya Vishakhainu Hari Hari Bifale Janam Gunainu हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय जगन्नाथ बलदेव सहोदर माई की जय राधा माधव की जय नरसिंह भगवान की जय पंचतत्व की जय षड गोस्वामी की जय गुरु परंपरा की जय श्री प्रभुपाद की श्री गुरुदेव चिंता गो ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. Before reciting his Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of God Narayana, unto Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nashta Prayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. So Hare Krishna, Prabhu's mother is. Welcome all of you, and thank you very much for keeping your appointment with Krishna today. Today is 14th of January 2026. Very auspicious day. Today is Ekadashi, Satyala Ekadashi, and all the more glorious to hear Bhagavatam and recite the shlokas, right? So I'll just share the screen for the shloka which we are going to discuss today. This is from 4th canto, 21st chapter, verse number 22. Aham dandadaro raja prajanam iha yojitah rakshita vrittidasveshu setushu stapita prathak. Aham dandadaro raja prajanam iha yojitah rakshita vrittidasveshu Setushu Stapita Prithak. Aham Dandadharo Raja Prajanam Iha Yojitah Rakshita Vrittidha Sveshu Setushu Stapita Prithak. Yes, can recite.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Aham dandadharo raja prajanam iha yojitah rakshita vrittida sveshu setishu sthapita prithak. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, very few. All of you can recite.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Aham dandadharo raja prajanamiha yojitah rakshita vrittidasveshu setushu sthapita prithak.
Hare Krishna. Jyoti Mata, you want to recite? Okay. So go to the word to word meaning. Aham, I. Dandadharaha, carrier of the scepter. Raja, king. Prajanam, all the citizens. Iha, in this world. Yojitaha, engaged. Rakshita, protector. Vrittidaha, employer. Sveshu, in their own. Setushu, respective social orders. Stapita, established. Prithak, differently. Translation and purport by Divine Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Please hear the translation and purport. King Prithu continued, by the grace of the Supreme Lord, I have been appointed the king of this planet, and I carry the scepter to rule the citizens, protect them from all danger, and give them employment according to their respective positions in the social order established by Vedic injunction. Purport by Divine Srila Prabhupada ki jai. A king is supposed to be appointed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead to look after the interests of his particular planet. On every planet, there is a predominating person, just as we now see that in every country there is a president. If one is president or king, it should be understood that this opportunity has been given to him by the Supreme Lord. According to the Vedic system, the king is considered a representative of Godhead and is offered respects by the citizens as God in the human form of life. Actually, according to Vedic information, the Supreme Lord maintains all living entities, and especially human beings, to elevate them to the highest perfection. After many, many births in this lower species, when a living entity evolves to the human form of life, and in particular to the civilized human form of life, its society must be divided into four gradations, as ordered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in Bhagavad Gita, Chatur Varniyam Maya Shrishtam. The four social orders, the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras, are natural divisions of human society, and as declared by Prithu Maharaj, every man in his respective social order must have proper employment for his livelihood. It is the duty of the king or the government to ensure that the people observe the social order and that they are also employed in their respective occupational duties. In modern times, since the protection of the government or the king has been withdrawn, social order has practically collapsed. No one knows who is a Brahmana, who is a Kshatriya, who is a Vaishya, and who is a Shudra. And people claim to belong to a particular social order by birthright only. It is the duty of the government to re-establish social order in terms of occupational duties and the modes of material nature, for that will make the entire world population actually civilized. If it does not observe the institutional functions of the four social orders, human society is no better than animal society, in which there is never tranquility, peace and prosperity, but only chaos and confusion. Maharaj Prithu, as an ideal king, strictly observed the maintenance of the Vedic social order. Prajayate iti praja. The word praja refers to one who takes birth. Therefore, Prithu Maharaj guaranteed protection for prajanam, all living entities who took birth in his kingdom. Praja refers not only to human beings but also to animals, trees, and every other living entity. It is the duty of the king to give all living entities protection and food. The fools and rascals of modern society have no knowledge of the extent of the responsibility of the government. Animals are also citizens of the land in which they happen to be born, and they also have the right to continue their existence at the cost of the Supreme Lord. The disturbance of the animal population by wholesale slaughter produces a catastrophic future reaction for the butcher and his land and his government. Jai Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Gyan Tamarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamahyam Dadati Subhadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagara Jatam Sagana Raghunatamitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Saganalita Shiva Shaka Utamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinavando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpata Rupescha Kripa Sindhuvaya Vacha Patitana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Yonta Pravishya Mamavacha Imam Prasuptam Sanjeevayate Kilashakti Dharasvadamna Anyam Chahasta Charana Shravanata Gadin Prana Namo Bhagavate Purushayatubhyam. Mukam Karoti Vacharam Pangam Langirim Satyapadam Amda Pramad. Namo Vishnupada Krishna Vishnu Putra Shri Mahashku Samitnavani. Namo Vishnupada Krishna Vishnu Putra Shri Bhakti Vinasa. Tirushishunya Pachala Sanjaya Krishna. Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita. So Hare Krishna, Prabhu's Madhajis, thank you very much for joining to hear Srimad Bhagavatam on this auspicious Ekadashi. See, there is a question asked to Prabhupada. Prabhupada, sometimes we forget to do our duty very attentively. Sometimes we forget. So the question was, Prabhupada, by associating with Krishna through his names, can we remember our duty? So he says we forget our duties and to do our duty. So we forget to do our duties very attentively. So is it possible that by associating with Krishna through his names, can we remember our duty? Prabhupada says, yes, you remember. If you remember Krishna, then you will remember all the duties of Krishna. And Prabhupada gave an example. Suppose you are working in an office. If you remember that you have to go to the office at such and such time, That means you will remember all the duties of the office. That is automatic. It's not that while you are going in the office, on the way that you have to do this, right? Now, because you are remembering the office, that means automatically they are there in the dormant stage. Now, Vishnu means all pervading God, right? So, God is everywhere, just like the sun. The sun is a planet, and there is a sun god also. In each and every planet, there is a predominating deity. Just like in this planet, in our planet, right? You have a predominating man, right? For the country, president will be there, prime minister will be there. So in each and every planet, there is a predominating living creature. So in the sun planet, no, the predominating living creature is called sun god. In the moon planet, the predominant deity is called moon god. And similarly, there are millions and millions of planets, and there is a predominant deity for each. So similarly, the original planet, Krishna Loka, the predominant deity is Krishna, is Vishnu, right? So just like the sun is situated in the particular planet, okay, but the sunshine is spread all over the universe, right? Similarly, Krishna, although he is in his planet, his energy is distributed all over the creation. So therefore, he is all pervading. He is everywhere. Andantarastha paramanu chayantarastham. So this, see, but the problem is, but our mental conception, we think that anything which is all pervading, how can it be localized personally? That's what we feel. This is our material conception. Just like I am sitting here, you are also sitting there. You cannot be all pervading. But understand one point, but your mind, which is a little finer, mind can be in so many places. You are sitting and trying to hear, but you may not hear, your mind is thinking of something else. So it is in our, because it's a little bit finer. And still finer is intelligence. And still more is the spirit soul. Spirit soul, that can become all pervading, right? Because the Paramatma is all pervading. So at the present moment, we are hampered, conditioned by the covering of this material body. Therefore, the point is, our endeavor should be how we should get out of this material body. Tyaktva deham punarjanma neti. 4.9 Bhagavad Gita says. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. So if you simply understand what is God, simply by this understanding, Tyaktva deham, that is after leaving this body, punarjanma neti, naiti, that is you don't get any more material body. See, first of all, you should understand Krishna, that he is all pervading. Because he has got a spiritual body, right? So when you get your spiritual body, then it's possible. So how can you get that? By understanding the Lord. That's why in the Vedic mantra, Rig mantra, it is Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam Sada Pashyanti Suryaha. Rig Veda, it says 122:20. The lotus feet of Lord Vishnu are the supreme objective of all the demigods. These lotus feet of the Lord are as enlightening as the sun in the sky. So this wonderful chapter of Prathama Raj is going on so beautifully, his qualities, right? So the duty, one important point we were able to understand by going through all these chapters previous to this and also the current one. The duty of a pious king is described very nicely, especially in the words 4:14:7. That is the first and foremost duty of a king, of a pious king, is to give protection to the citizens. From whom? From the thieves and rogues, as well as from the ministers who are no better than thieves and rogues. See, formerly, ministers were appointed by the king and were not elected. So if the king was not very pious or strict, ministers would become thieves and rogues, and they will exploit the innocent citizens. So it is the king's duty to see that there is no increase of thieves and rogues, either in the government secretariat or in the departments of public affairs. But nowadays, we can see everything is going on wrong, right? So if a king cannot give protection to citizens from thieves and rogues, both in the government service and in the public affairs, then he has no right to exact taxes from them. So the king or the government that taxes can levy taxes from the citizen only if the king or government is able to give protection to citizens from thieves and rogues. Now, Prithu Maharaj, being an empowered incarnation of Krishna, he exhibited all the wonderful qualities of a king when he ruled this planet. I will list out some glorious qualities which we can try to imbibe in our lives. First one is forgiveness. It is usually very difficult for us to forgive a soul who is constantly troubling us, offending us. But being a true Vaishnava, Maharaj Prithu, he possessed this valuable jewel of forgiveness. And we saw, right, he willingly forgave Indra, who was a source of disturbance in completing his 100th horse sacrifice, right? So when Indra sought forgiveness, Prithu Maharaj embraced him lovingly, forgetting his misdeeds and giving no place for any envy or any grudge in his heart. Completely eradicated, right? So this is one of the forgiveness. Another important part to understand is we may forgive somebody, but there is one more thing has to be done. You forgive and forget. Forget that you are forgiven. Otherwise, what happens? Oh, I have forgiven you. You'll be proud of having forgiven. So that's forgive and forget that you are forgiven. Second point is magnanimity. Prithu Maharaj protected his citizens very well, and he ensured to please them by his words, deeds, and actions. See, he was anxious to make his citizens Krishna conscious. This is the point to understand. The leader should be anxious to make the citizens Krishna conscious. And he was not a mere king collecting taxes from his citizens. Very powerful. See, these are very important things to understand. So, magnanimity. This is magnanimous. The third one is humility. Although Prithu Maharaj was the most powerful king, while instructing his citizens about the way of life, he presented them in a humble manner, without any tinge of pride that he is their ruler. They will not feel that, he is greater, so he is awe and respect, right? They felt as if he is the same with us only. He very well knew that it's only by Lord's mercy he has been blessed with this royal position of a king. See, glorifying the humble nature of Prithu Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada says in the previous verse, 21st verse, he did not, however, present himself as a royal authority, empowered to command everyone. For he wanted to present his statement in humble submission before the assembly of great sages and saintly persons. As a great king of the entire world, he could have given them orders. But he was so humble, meek and honest that he presented his statement for approval in order to clarify his mature decision. So this is what I want to do. Seeking the decisions, right? So this is humble. Then pridelessness. See, humble is not that by just saying, Prabhu, I am humble, very humble. By saying it has to come naturally, right? The fifth point is pridelessness. See, even when Prithu Maharaj received a very opulent reception from his citizens, he was not proud. In fact, in the 5th verse of this chapter, Prithu Maharaj says, the reception given to the king was full of opulence, yet he did not become proud. So it is said there that great personalities, of power and opulence, they never become proud. That's why they are great. The example is given that a tree which is full of fruits and flowers, it does not stand erect in pride, but instead bends downwards to show submissiveness. So this is a sign of the wonderful character of great personalities. So 6th is hospitality. So even though he was empowered incarnation of Krishna, like an ideal Vaishnava king, he taught others by his personal behavior how to receive and respect saintly persons like the Kumaras. He washed their feet with water and then sprinkled the water over his head and over the heads of his family members. This is hospitality. The seventh one is serving with commitment. You have to serve, but serve with commitment. Prabhupada in the purport of 4:22:63 says, Prithu Maharaj was also very humble, meek and gentle. Okay. And whenever he performed any philanthropic work or welfare activity for the general public, he would labor exactly as if he were tending to his own personal necessities. He will himself be doing it. So his philanthropy activities were not for the sake of show, but were performed out of personal feeling and commitment. So all philanthropy activities should be thus performed. So a few of the qualities Prithu Maharaj, just listed out. He was a reservoir of so many exemplary qualities that Lord Vishnu and his devotees, namely Sanat Kumaras, gave him their auspicious darshan because of his behavior and qualities, right? In fact, in 4:20:20, while explaining Guru's behavior of Prithu Maharaj to Vidur, Maitri Muni says, the Lord was just about to leave. Okay, after in the sacrificial area, he was about to leave. But because he was so greatly inclined towards the behavior of King Prithu, he did not depart. So seeing the behavior of Maharaj Prithu with his lotus eyes, he was detained because he is always the well-wisher of his devotees. So Lord Vishnu was so pleased by Prithu Maharaj's behavior that he did not even want to leave the arena and return to Vaikuntha. So Lord residing within our hearts, he is the witness of all that we do, right? So let us remember this and always behave in such a way. The Lord loves to reside in our hearts forever. He is there, but we are not listening to him, right? So he will not speak, he will not guide you. He will be giving so many instructions, but since you are not listening, he will stop giving you instructions. See, we naturally get attracted to stay in a place which is very beautiful, pure, clean, right? If our heart and behavior are clean, the Lord will love to stay with us. On the contrary, if we are narrow-minded, okay, and possess evil thoughts, then the Lord will not like to stay, even for a second. So taking example of devotees like Prithu Maharaj, we should try to practice at least few of the wonderful qualities they possessed. See, we saw before in the earlier verses also the wonderful speech which Prithu Maharaj gave. In fact, in 2.54 Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada writes, speech is the most important quality of any man. It is said that a fool is undiscovered as long as he does not speak. And certainly a well-dressed fool cannot be identified unless he speaks. But as soon as he speaks, he reveals himself at once. The immediate symptom of a Krishna conscious man is that he speaks only of Krishna and of matters relating to Krishna. In Bhagavad Gita 17.15, Krishna declares, austerity of speech consists in speaking words that are truthful, pleasing, beneficial, and not agitating to others, and also in regularly reciting Vedic literature. So how to speak? Bhagavad Gita gives practical instructions. Austerity of speech consists in speaking words that are, number one, truthful, pleasing, beneficial, not agitating others, and also in regularly reciting Vedic literature, shlokas. So in the 4th canto of Bhagavatam, the glorious activities of Prithu Maharaj are described, right? And in that, there are 2 verses which glorify his speech. From these verses, we can learn how we should speak. See, there are so many courses on public speaking, personality development, and we attend these courses, paying so much of fees. But we neglect our own scriptures, which are a treasure house of all the knowledge on all these matters. So while explaining about Prithu Maharaj's speech, Maitri Muni says to Vidur Maharaj, in the 4:21, 20th verse, Charu Chitrapadam Slakshanam, Mrishtam Gudam Aviklavam, Sarvesham Upakarartham, Tada Anuvadan Iva. Maharaj Prithu's speech was very beautiful, full of metaphorical language, clearly understandable, and very pleasing to hear. His words were all grave and certain. It appears that when he spoke, he expressed his personal realization of the absolute truth in order to benefit all who were present. This is 4:21:20. In 4:22:17, Maitri Muni is telling, Purtos tat suktam akarnya saram sushtu mita madhu smayamana iva pritya kumara pratyuvachaha. Great Sri Maitreya, he said, thus Sanat Kumaras, the best of the celibates, after hearing the speech of Prithu Maharaj, which was meaningful, appropriate, full of precise words and very sweet to hear, smiled with full satisfaction and began to speak. So from these two verses, 4:20:20 and 4:22:17, we understand there are 11 characteristics of a good and glorious speech. So how to speak, no? This is a public speaking course, right? No need of any fees also. See, Bhagavatam 4:21:20 and 22:17, right? Glorify the speech of Prithu Maharaj. I think the two verses are 4:21:20 and 4:22:17. Okay, giving 11 characteristics. So let us see one by one. First one is Charu, beautiful. Prabhupada mentions that Maharaj Prithu was beautiful in his external bodily features. And his speech was also very glorious in all respects. So while speaking, it is important that the speaker maintains the beautiful facial expression and his gesture should not be awkward. See, in Ramayana, after Hanumanji meets Lord Ram for the first time, he speaks so wonderfully. And hearing this speech by Hanumanji, Lord Ram was full of appreciation. See, regarding the bodily features, while speaking, Lord Ram says in Valmiki Ramayana, while speaking, there was not even the least fault found on his face or eyes, or on forehead or brows, or on other faculties of expression. See, apart from this, the beauty in speech lies in speaking words that do not agitate the minds of others. That's what we saw in the Bhagavad Gita also, right? Should not agitate the minds of others. Anudvegakaram vakyam. Srila Prabhupada writes, of course, when a teacher speaks, he can speak the truth for the instruction of his students. But such a teacher should not speak to those who are not his students if he will agitate their minds. Second point is, see, first word Charu. Charu means beautiful. Next is Chitrapadam, full of metaphorical language. Prabhupada writes that Puthu Maharaj's words were nicely composed in highly metaphorical, ornamental language. And this is possible only for a learned personality. That's why Ramayana, Lord Ram says about Hanumanji's speech, right? Definitely grammar is severely and comprehensively learnt by him, and though much is said by him, not a single word has been spoken ungrammatically. He's talking about Hanumanji. Since the Lord is Uttama Shloka, the one who is praised with choice words of poetry, right? So Prithu's glorification of the Lord in the Frauli language, but full of humility and deep meaning, is greatly appreciated. The third one is Slakshnam. Slakshnam is very clear. Puthu Maharaj's speech was very clearly understandable. There should be clarity of speech, which includes the voice tone, proper spacing of words, so the hearers can understand. So Lord Ram is glorifying the speech of Hanumanji also. And the fourth one is Mrishtam. Mrishtam means very pleasing to hear. My Guru Maharaj used to quote the beautiful verse from the Shastras. Priyavakya pradhanena sarve tushyanti jantavaha tasmat tadeva vaktavyam vachaneshu kim daritritaha. By speaking pleasing words, all the living entities are satisfied. Therefore, always speak sweetly. Why are you so poor in your sentences? So regarding Hanumanji's speech, Lord Rama says, I believe that even if an enraged enemy with a sword in hand comes to kill, he would definitely change his attitude by hearing such an outstanding speech. So we should be such pleasing speakers. The fifth verse, Gudam. Gudam means meaningful and grave. Now Srila Prabhupada advocates there is a limitless stock of Vedic literature, okay? And one should study this. Then whatever we speak from scriptures becomes meaningful and grave. So only a learned person who has been trained under a bona fide spiritual representative of the Lord and has understood the real value and mission of life can speak meaningful and grave words. So while glorifying Hanumanji's speech, Lord Ram says, right, one must be educated in the Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, and mastered in Sama Veda to speak in such a wonderful and meaningful manner. And the sixth is Aviklavyam. Aviklavyam means without doubt. Prabhupada writes, the process of speaking in spiritual circles is to say something upheld by the scriptures. See, one should at once quote from scriptural authority to back up what he is saying. This way the speech should be with certainty and confidence. If the speaker himself is doubtful of what he is speaking, what can the audience be benefited? So without doubt, aviklavam. Then the seventh is sarvesham upakarartham, for the benefit of all. So our speech should be such that it benefits the hearers. So preaching of the message from Srimad Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam is the best beneficial activity that can be performed. So Prabhupada writes, it appears that when Prithu Maharaj spoke, he expressed his personal realization of the absolute truth in order to benefit all who were present. That's why Bhagavatam 1, 2, 3 offers obeisances to Shukadeva Goswami. It says, let me offer my respectful obeisance to him, Shuka, spiritual master of all sages, the son of Vyasadeva, who, out of his great compassion for those gross mentalists who struggle to cross over the darkest regions of middle existence, spoke this most confidential supplement to the cream of Vedic knowledge after having personally assimilated it by experience. So we saw 7 so far, right? Beautiful, Charu, full of metaphorical language, Chitrapadam, very clear, Slakshanam, very pleasing to hear, Murishtam, meaningful and grave, Gudam, without doubt, Aviklavam, and beneficial to all, Sarvesham Upakarartham. There are a few more, just that you can expand yourself, right? That was in the next verse, right? The 8th one is speaking the essence, Saram. Speaking the essence, Saram. See, only the essence of substance thing have to be spoken. And all nonsensical talk should be avoided. See, people of Kali Yuga are already very much disturbed. And also, moreover, the attention span is very limited. And in that, if unnecessary mundane topics are spoken, no, it is a great waste of time. That's why Bhagavatam 1.5.40, very beautiful verse, it says, Tomapyadapra shrutavishrutam vibho samapyate yena vidam bubhutsitam prakyahi dukkher muhurarditatmanam sanklesh nirvanamushanti nanyatha. Please, therefore, describe the Almighty Lord's activities which you have learned by your vast knowledge of the Vedas, for that will satisfy the hankerings of great learned men and at the same time mitigate the miseries of the masses of common people who are always suffering from material pangs. Indeed, there is no other way to get out of such miseries. So we should only be speaking Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the cream of all the Vedas. Saram Saram Samudritam. And it contains all the historical facts of all times in relation with Krishna. See, it is factually the essence of all the histories. See, all other topics, no, Asat Alapaihi, simply waste one's valuable life. The 9th one is Sushtu. Sushtu is appropriate. Speech should be appropriate according to the mood and caliber of the audience and according to time, place and circumstances. We should also remember that in certain circumstances, silence is the most appropriate speech. When Angira Muni went to the palace of King Chitraketu to deliver transcendental knowledge, he found that the king was in deep anxiety out of some material desire. So the sage avoided his desire. And later, when the circumstances were appropriate, he delivered the spiritual knowledge. So that time he was not speaking about spiritual knowledge. So like when you're asking people to come for Krishna consciousness, speaking about, if they're not interested, keep quiet. Don't give anything about that, right? The 10th one is minimized and with precise words, mitam. Speech should be so precise that no one can add anything to it or delete anything from it. We can see Prabhupada's speech, is so precise, pure. It directly enters, and touches the heart of the listeners. When the speech is not precise and focused, nothing retains in the minds, in the hearts of the listeners. It just goes above, bouncer. The 11th one is Madhu, sweet to hear. Guru Maharaj says, what is the point of stopping eating meat when your tongue is speaking harsh words? And it's just like another slaughterhouse. It cuts through the people just as good as people cut through the meat and eat that. So what is the difference? See, we have left the grosser form of anti-Vedic behavior, and now we have brought that subtle form of anti-Vedic behavior into our lives. So we should be very careful. Parushyam or harsh speech is the characteristic of demons and should be completely avoided. Harsh words pierce the hearts of the living entities like arrows, and it hurts, and the hurt remains for eternity. So we should cultivate the habit of sweetly speaking. So encourage the living entities with speech. So let us try to develop at least some of the characters of this glorious speech, enunciated by Prithu Maharaj. Let us understand the most glorious speech is that which glorifies the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Any honest and sincere glorification of the Lord automatically assumes all these characteristics. 100% guaranteed. It's possible. That's why in the 25th verse in this chapter, Prithu Maharaj says, "Therefore, my dear citizens, for the welfare of your king after his death, you should execute your duties properly in terms of your positions of Varna and Ashrama, and should always think of the Supreme Personality of Godhead within your hearts. By doing so, you will protect your own interests and you will bestow mercy upon your king for his welfare after death." So Krishna consciousness, very, very important. That's what they have to cultivate, the leaders. The king and citizens should both be Krishna conscious. Otherwise, both of them will be doomed to lower species of life after death. A responsible government must teach Krishna consciousness very vigorously for the benefit of all. Without Krishna consciousness, neither the state nor the citizens of the state can be responsible. So Prithu Maharaj therefore specifically requested the citizens to act in Krishna consciousness. He was also very anxious to teach them how to become Krishna conscious. So not only tell them, but how to do that. That is also very important. So the point is, one need not become like Brahma, Shiva, Indra, whose capabilities are certainly above ours, right? Even a Shudra, who is in the lower stage of life, according to the mental qualities, can achieve the same success. So anyone can become successful in devotional service, provided he displays no duplicity. So one must be very frank and open-minded. So to be situated in the lower status of life is not a disqualification of success in devotional service, okay? The only qualification is that whether one is Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, he must be open, frank and free from reservations. So by performing his particular occupational duty under the guidance of a proper spiritual master, he can achieve the highest success in life. So the formula for success for the people, especially in Kali Yuga, where almost the entire population belongs to the Shudra category, right, is given by the king, who practices what he preaches, because he is fully aware of his position and his duty as a king. His king's position is, see, by the grace, in the 22nd verse today we saw, by the grace of Supreme Lord, he says, "I have been appointed by the king of this planet, and I carry this scepter to the rule of the citizens, protect them from all danger, give them employment according to their respective positions in the social order established by the Vedic injunction." This is what the 21-20, this current verse, king's position, he says, given by Krishna, because by the grace of the Lord I am appointed the king. This we should always be in the mind. Then what is the king's duty? 24th verse says, any king who does not teach his citizens about their respective duties in terms of Varna and Ashrama, but who simply exacts tolls and taxes from them, is liable to suffer for the impious activities which have been performed by the citizens. In addition to such degradation, the king also loses his own fortune. Whereas in the case of the modern day politicians, the concern is how to retain their positions, make their lives comfortable, as they are not aware of their actual position. So what to speak of knowing their duty, correct? So in order to maintain the status quo, they do not hesitate in giving false promises. So much, right? We can see in front of us, which are nothing but, post-dated checks. Even at the cost of degrading to lower species of life. They don't understand that they will go down. Let us pray at the lotus feet of Kripa, Krishna and Guru to be firmly fixed, in following the advice of Maharaj Prithu, and never be tempted to accept the post-dated checks, which is doled out by the unscrupulous leaders of modern times. So each and every quality is important for our spiritual advancement. So these qualities which has been described, very, very important. See, there's one phrase is Niyame Chapi Anindya. See, outwardly we may be following the regulatory principles of devotion. We have to follow it, right? But simultaneously, if we keep blaspheming others, then there is no chance for progress in bhakti. See, by such criticism, we are just increasing our credits in the sinful life of our activities of our life. There is a sinful account. Credit is going up. It should be reduced. The reality of this material life is that day in and day out, we will be placed with so many varieties of adipautic miseries. So these miseries, right, like any other incident in our life, are completely not under our control. So instead of prioritizing these blaspheming activities, we should try to see how well we could serve Krishna under those circumstances. And one important quality was remaining undisturbed by duality of opposing elements. See, sometimes we receive letters from, Prabhupada says, we receive letters from neophyte devotees, questioning why they have fallen sick. It's a devotee, why should he fall? Although he is pursuing Krishna consciousness. See, they should learn from this words that they have to become tolerant. This is the world of duality. One should not think that because he has fallen sick, he has fallen from Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness can continue without impediment from any material opposition. So Krishna advises in Bhagavad Gita 2.14, Tam Stitikshasva Bharata. My dear Arjuna, please try to tolerate all these disturbances. Be fixed in your Krishna consciousness activities. So when we are afflicted by disease or lose our ability to do things on our own, that moment naturally makes us humble and able to understand the reality as to how insignificant we are and how powerful is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, how his potency is so powerful. So Prabhupada very nicely advises us, there is no need to lament when we are sick. We may not be able to pursue our regular day-to-day activities, okay? But if we tolerate the pain for some time, then we'll be able to realize that sickness is also a blessing in disguise offered by the Supreme Lord, so that we could spend more quality time in chanting and other activities of devotional service. So let us remember and practice these qualities mentioned so that we should be sure candidate for making progress in Krishna consciousness. See, in India, the Varnashrama system has now been taken in a perverted way. I took some points from this Science of Self-Realization, chapter 3, where it says India's greatest impersonalist meditated on Lord Krishna and the Bhagavad Gita. So it is a perverted way because a man born in the family of a Brahmana claims that he should be accepted as a Brahmana. But this claim is not accepted by the Shastras. See, one's forefather may have been a Brahmana according to the Gotra and all, or the family hereditary order. But real Varnashrama Dharma is based on factual quality one has attained, regardless of birth or heredity, right? So Prabhupada says we are not preaching the present day system of the Hindus, especially those who are under the influence of Shankaracharya. For Shankaracharya taught that the absolute truth is impersonal, and thus he indirectly denied the existence of God. Now Shankaracharya's mission was special. He appeared in order to re-establish the Vedic influence after the influence of Buddhism. See, because Buddhism was patronized by Emperor Ashoka some 2600 years ago, the Buddhist religion practically pervaded all over India. According to the Vedic literature, Buddha was an incarnation of Krishna who had a special power and who appeared for a special purpose. So his system of thought or faith was accepted widely, but Buddha rejected the authority of the Vedas. The special purpose was there. So when Buddhism was spreading, Vedic culture was stopped both in India and other places. So therefore, since Shankaracharya's only aim was to drive away Buddha's system of philosophy, he introduced a system called Mayavad. Now, strictly speaking, Mayavad philosophy is atheism. It's a process in which one imagines that there is God. So this Maya system of philosophy has been existing since time immemorial. So the Prabhupada says the present Indian system of religion or culture is based on the Mayavada philosophy of Shankaracharya, which is a compromise with Buddhist philosophy. See, according to Mayavadi philosophy, there actually is no God. Or if God exists, he is impersonal and all-pervading and can therefore be imagined in any form. So this conclusion is not in accordance with the Vedic literature. That literature names many demigods who are worshipped for different purposes. But in every case, the Supreme Lord, Personality of Godhead Vishnu, is accepted as the Supreme Controller. That is the real Vedic culture. The philosophy of Krishna consciousness does not deny the existence of God and demigods. Very important. Philosophy of Krishna consciousness does not deny the existence of God and the demigods. But Mayavadi philosophy denies both. It maintains that neither the demigods nor God exist. For the Mayavadis, ultimately all is zero, Shunyavad. They say that one may imagine any authority, whether Vishnu, Durga, Lord Shiva, Sun God, because these are demigods generally worshipped in society. But the Mayavadi philosophy does not, in fact, accept the existence of any of them. The Mayavadis say that because one cannot concentrate one's mind on the impersonal Brahman, please listen very carefully. Mayavadis say that because one cannot concentrate one's mind on the impersonal Brahman, one may imagine any of these forms. So this is a new system called Panchopasana. It was introduced by Shankaracharya. But Bhagavad Gita does not teach any such doctrines. Therefore, they are not authoritative. So Bhagavad Gita accepts the existence of the demigods. The demigods are described in the Vedas. We cannot deny their existence. But they are not to be understood or worshipped according to the way of Shankaracharya. Worship of demigods is rejected in Bhagavad Gita. 7.20 states, Kamaistaister hirtagyanaha prapadyante anya devataha tam tam niyamam asthaya prakritya niyata swaya. Those whose minds are distorted by material desires surrender unto demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. And in 2.44 Krishna says, in the minds of those who are too attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence, and who are bewildered by such things, the resolute determination for devotional service does not take place. And in 7.23, those who are pursuing the various demigods have been described as Hritajnana, which means those who have lost their senses. And in 7.23 it says, men of small intelligence worship the demigods. And their fruits are limited and temporary. Those who worship the demigods go to the planets of demigods, but my devotees reach my supreme abode. So the rewards given by the demigods are temporary because any material facility must act in connection with the temporary body. So whatever material facilities one gets, whether by modern scientific methods or by deriving benedictions from demigods, will be finished with the body. But spiritual advancement will never be finished. So that's why in the last paragraph of this 4:21-22 verse which we are discussing, it says, no, prajayate iti praja. The word praja refers to one who takes birth. Therefore, Prithu Maharaj guaranteed protection for prajana, all living entities who took birth in his kingdom. So this is very important, guaranteed protection. Praja refers to not only human beings but also to animals, trees and every other living entity. So Prabhupada says in that, no, it is the duty of the king to give all living entities protection and food. The fools and rascals of modern society have no knowledge of the extent of the responsibility of the government. So Prabhupada is very important. No, animals are also citizens of the land in which they happen to be born. They also have the right to continue their existence. So the disturbance of animal population by wholesale slaughterhouses is catastrophic. That's we are seeing nowadays, in fact, right? So Prithu Maharaj, as an ideal king, strictly observed the maintenance of the Vedic social order. So without the spread of Brahminical culture and without proper protection from the government, no social standard can be maintained properly. Without spread of Brahmin culture and without proper protection from the government, no social standard can be maintained properly. Maharaj Prithu, no, although situated in the transcendental position of a pure devotee, he is a pure devotee. He came down to the position of Brahmana and Kshatriya for the benefit of human society and thus gave protection to the entire world by his personal prowess. Although he was a king, a Kshatriya, because he was a Vaishnava, he was also a Brahmana, right? Vaishnava, Brahmana is also inclusive in Brahmana, in Vaishnava. So as a Brahmana, he could give proper instruction to the citizens. And as a Kshatriya, he could rightly give protection to all of them. So it is by the grace of the spiritual master and the Supreme Personality of God Krishna that we get the clue of devotional life. And thus, progressive success in our life begins. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Vancha Kalpataru Vich Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnava. Thank you very much, Mataji, for this opportunity to glorify Krishna and purify ourselves in this auspicious Ekadashi day. Hare Krishna. Thank you. If you want to share anything, you can go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Danda Pranam Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu and Pranams.
Yeah, thanks for a very, very wonderful Prabhuji. And Prabhu, a question comes in the mind that yes, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but still, why is that different types of religions, different type of like Shankaracharya, like Buddha, different philosophies one is against each other. One gets some philosophy, the other denies that, something like that. So how is it allowed, and what is the reason for this? All, can you please?
Yes, Prabhu. See, when I talked about Buddhism and the Shankaracharya, right? See, Vyasadeva had written so many Vedas, Upanishads, and everything, right? And Vedas, there are a lot of Vedas in the mode of goodness, passion, ignorance. So people follow that time, and they were strictly following those things. And it is given you can do certain things like killing of animals, slaughter can be done under certain circumstances. Because those days Brahman mantras were perfectly done, so that was being allowed. So many things were being allowed. And what happened, because the killing of the animals and all became predominant, people they forgot about the Vedas and everything. Means no spiritual this thing. They think they can do that. So continuous killing animals and eating meat and everything was going on. So just to a certain extent, right? So it has to be stopped. They say they quote that from these Vedas say this Vedas say this. Based on that, they are doing it. So it has to be stopped. That's why Buddha is an incarnation. What you want to say, there is this Vedas is useless. There is no Vedas. So once that is done, then they will not quote that the animal slaughter and everything is there very much. So Buddha's incarnation came to stop complete Vedic literature and everything completely. So that became Buddhism, right? So now later on everything was, but now Vedas, nobody is following the Vedic literature. Nothing spiritual, nothing is happening. So then came Shankaracharya to completely deny. Then he introduced Vedic this thing, Vedas is required. But the problem was completely different. They said with regard to Mayavadi philosophy, that is there is no God. They deny the existence of God also. So the point to understand is, if you see who has written this, Vyasadeva has written, right? So Vyasadeva has written all these Vedas and people follow. And then they had to, Krishna has to do something to deny, make people come to devotional service, think about the Lord, right? So what happened? Who was written? Vyasadeva. He himself was completely morose and dejected. He was sitting in one place one time. So Narada Muni was coming and he asked him, what happened? What is it? He said, see, I have written so many Vedic literatures, Upanishads, Mahabharata, so many things, but I don't feel satisfied. I'm very dejected, I'm disappointed, frustrated. So please tell me why he said so. Then Narada Muni told him, you have written everything in earth, but you have not glorified Krishna and his devotees perfectly. That's the reason. So then he started, see, the person who has written all these things, he himself is not satisfied. So how can the other people be satisfied? So when Vyasadeva has written everything, okay, they were following it. Now Vyasadeva himself is not happy. Now he has written Bhagavatam. And Bhagavatam is the essence of all the Vedas and literature. So they should follow Bhagavatam now. But instead they still continue to follow the other things, which is already like Buddha's killing of all these things, then Shankaracharya's Mayavadi philosophy. They are following. So when he told about those Vedas, they are following that. But now he said that is not good. This is the best thing, Bhagavatam. So now we have to follow Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. That they are not following. So this is not the problem of the Lord, right? The process is already there. There is nothing wrong in the process of Krishna consciousness. The problem is the people, because they have been given the minute independence. First of all, they don't come. And even if they come, they also leave and go also, because they have got the independence, right? So this is another difficulty. So we have to be very careful, associate with devotees, continue our chanting and everything. Then it's possible. So within my capacity, I was trying to explain Guru, if it's anything, if it's okay.
Yeah, it was quite helpful, Prabhuji. Thanks a lot, Prabhuji. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Tanda Pranam.
Hare
Jai.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Very important lesson today about speech. It is the beginning of all mess, what I feel. Whenever we speak nonsense, we speak nonsense most of the times. And all the time we want to taste new things, we want to eat this or that or something. So it is starting with speech and like from the tongue itself, what we can say.
True.
Prabhuji.
Absolutely.
In Nectar of Instruction also, first thing comes this Vacho Vegam, control your urges to speak. Prabhuji.
Correct.
So
Absolutely. Beautiful.
somehow we have to master it. We have to bring it under our control. We have whenever open the mouth, talk about Krishna, about his glories. This is the only thing which can correct our tone, accent, or the mood we talk, or we agitate others, or it will become sweet only when we think that we have whenever I speak, I have to relate it to Krishna. We have to talk about his glories, his pastimes, and all. Very important lesson, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mati. Very nicely put. Wonderful. Thank you very much, Hare Krishna. Nice.
And silence also is a kind of speech, Prabhuji.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, yes. Yeah, depending on the circumstances, it's very good.
Yes.
True.
When we don't have anything to talk, it's better not to talk.
Correct. See, in the 10 offenses also is there, no? One of them is that people are to not to speak when people are not interested, right? I think it's the ninth, eighth or ninth. Forgot there also people may not be interested. Why waste your time talking to them about Krishna consciousness, comfort program, chant? No need. Because it's more time. They need more time to get it. Bhavanam Janmanam, right? So it'll take a longer time for them to. But they were actually, what do you say? They are very, very fortunate to have people around them to tell them about chant, for them about Krishna and come to Krishna consciousness. But still they are not taking. That is, they are unfortunate. They are unfortunate because they are not able to take. There's a few things we can understand, Mataji. Thank you very much, Hare Krishna.
They have to wake up their mind, Prabhuji.
You can wake up from?
They have to wake up their mind.
Yeah, they cannot because so much anarthas are there, bro. There are so many. Like the Prabhu was asking the question, different religions, different faiths, and all that. It's there because they are still following the same things going on, right? So ultimately, everything has to go sanctioned by Krishna only. That they are not able to understand. They
Yes,
deny
Prabhu.
the existence of God and demigods also, and they
Yes.
say it's all only Brahman. But you can think of any forms and you can chant. So completely misdirecting the word. That's why in symptoms of Kali Yuga is already there, right?
Yes.
So we can see people are lazy, we are always disturbed, right? Misdirection. We have guided missiles, but misdirected civilization. That's the point. Should be other way around.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Professor Mataji. Hare Krishna. If anything else, otherwise we'll stop.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Dandavad.
Thank
Hare
you so much.
Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, we are speaking about the speech that we should, how we should speak to devotees and all that. But
Yes.
how to correct the devotees? Like devotees means not everyone will be perfect. Sometimes mistakes do happen. So
Yeah.
how do we correct the devotees without hurting them?
Yeah, that's what. So austerity of speech is already there, right? Not to agitate them. I can understand, means they're there in the Krishna conscious movement. There's so many years now, but still, the way they speak, it's not. So we have to try our best. Krishna, see, we can, we know now what is austerity of speech. We should be beneficial, truthful, not to agitate others, right? Besides, look, this is the austerity of speech and taking prasad. So maybe the other person gets agitated means there's something wrong with our speech. So we should be controlled in our way. And maybe if he's not happy and all, then ignore at that particular moment. Maybe somebody higher, a different person may be able to. See, maybe in our family itself, right? Maybe for the son, maybe an elderly son is there. If you want to correct him and do something, he will not listen to you. But maybe he always listens to his uncle. So tell your uncle to tell him about that. So like that, you may not be able to correct that person. So maybe he listens to another person. Go and tell that person to tell him about this. This is what he's doing. Let him do. Then he will listen. So we have to be very smart and accordingly we can do. Hope it's useful, Prabhu.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
But directly you may not listen, right? If I tell you something, you may not listen. So you have to tell whom you listen to that person.
Yes, sir.
Like politics,
Yes,
right? It's Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Okay, thank you, Bruce Mataji, Hare Krishna, for this opportunity to glorify Lord. Have a nice, wonderful Ekadashi. Close now, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.